One of my favorite things that I get to do coming here as a coach or someone who has been in your shoes and done the thing is I can show you really embarrassing moments where I've made a ton of mistakes, which, let's be honest, I have shown you so many things behind the scenes that I have done in my journey. And today, I'm going to share with you a pretty embarrassing video that I dug up through the archives, and yeah, it's super cringeworthy, but we have to watch it because it is crucial to understanding your content elevator pitch, which is what this whole video is about today. So let's get right to it. Hey y'all, Crystal here today, and we are talking about your content elevator pitch. Now, what is this and what does this actually mean? Well, you've probably heard of an elevator pitch as something that you are doing whenever you're in an elevator with someone. Maybe you are pitching them a new business idea or telling them about the latest thing that you've been up to, but I like to keep things more casual and think of this as like your 30-second dinner party update, because you've done this. I know that you've been in this situation too, where you go to a family event, maybe it's a birthday party or the holidays, and you get around people that you haven't seen in a while, and they ask you this question: well, what have you been up to lately? And if you're like me, you're excited to talk about your podcast and your YouTube channel and your business and all the fun things that you're doing. And so what I like to think about is my elevator pitch is my answer back to my family member or my friend that asked me the question, what are you up to? So if I were to answer that question today, here's my example of what I would say to them. Well, I'm actually using my podcast and my YouTube channel to teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their content with confidence. So I teach about the basics of editing and creating content and content calendars and content creation, and it's just so much fun. I love what I do. Very short, very sweet, very simple. But there are some really important marketing things that you need to keep in mind as you develop a content elevator pitch. And let's just be really honest. If you can't tell someone in a very short, concise way what your content is about, what your business is about, then it's going to be a little confusing for them to follow what it is that you do, or the audience that you serve, or the message that you're trying to deliver. This is why this is so important. It helps provide clarity to people that could potentially be in your audience. Like that family member that I explained that to, maybe they're not in my potential audience, and that's okay, but they may immediately think of someone and say, oh, I know Sarah up the road from me who she's been talking about creating a YouTube channel for her small business. She has a bakery and she's been thinking about doing this. I'm going to send her to your information so she can check out what you're doing. You see how cool that is? This is the power of word of mouth and marketing, but it only works if you have an effective elevator pitch. So I'm going to go through some of the key elements. There are 6 actually that I want to go through that have to do with having a really solid foundation for your elevator pitch. Again, this could be whether it's your podcast, your YouTube channel, your business, or whatever kind of content you're creating. I want you to have these 6 elements. So, number 1, you have to call out your target audience. So who is this business created for? Or who is this content really speaking to? Do you notice how if we go back to what I was saying in my example elevator pitch, I said, I speak to mostly online business owners and entrepreneurs. So it's super important that you call out who this is for, not just, oh, I create content. Well, who's it for? It's very, very important to establish that up front. And then number 2, what is the main problem that your audience faces? Now, for me, it was like a little sneak attack in there because I said, well, I want them to create content with confidence. I didn't go into, well, most podcasters burn out and most YouTubers don't get past so many videos because they don't have the self-confidence. I didn't go into all of that information, but you could in your elevator pitch. And stick around because I'm going to have some information on how you can grab a script and a template for you to create your own content elevator pitch. So stick around. I'm going to share that with you in a second. But you want to call it out. Like, what is the main problem? What are some of the common things that your listeners or the viewers on your channel face? Because this can help solidify the type of information that your business is going to have or the content that you're sharing is going to be about. So super important. Number 3, you want to establish the name of either your business, your podcast, or your YouTube channel. I left mine pretty vague because I didn't want to throw a bunch of information at you, but I could say, yes, my podcast, The Profit Podcast, you can go check it out here. There's going to be a link in the video description, but this is all for people who want to create content with confidence. We give specific strategies and tools to help you really succeed in creating your content. Now, that is a very specific elevator pitch for my podcast, but I could also do the same thing for my YouTube channel. I could say something like, yeah, if you go to my Crystal Profit YouTube channel, you're going to find tutorials and demonstrations on how you can create content with confidence. Plus, I share with you all of my tools and so much of the behind the scenes of what it's like for me to create content. Do you see what I did there? So you want to call out who it's for, you want to call out the name of it, and you want to talk about the problem that you are helping solve, which brings me to number 4, and that is, what is the solution you're offering? I said keywords like tutorials and strategies, behind the scenes, demonstrations. These are all things that I want to point out in my elevator pitch so people know what to expect. And if you're like, well, that all sounds pretty teachy and preachy, and maybe that's not how your content is, I want you to think about what are some words that would get people excited. Like maybe you do some cooking demonstrations, or you have some other thing that's very specific to your industry that people would be really excited to see. So make sure you include those solutions to your target audience's problems. And actually, I want you to tell me in the comments, give me a little bit about who your target audience is or the problems that they're facing. I would love to give you a shout out in an upcoming video or one of our podcast episodes where we are helping creators in this community create better content, and I would love to strategize with you to create your elevator pitch. So put it in the comments below who you serve and the problems you're trying to solve. Okay, let's get back to the next step. And then number 5 for having a solid foundation for your elevator pitch is, I think it's important to have 2 to 3 topics that you talk about. So we kind of touched on this a little bit when we talked about strategies and demonstrations, but if you want to go even deeper, like I said earlier, I said on my YouTube channel, we talk about the basics of editing and content creation, and we go into demonstrations and behind the scenes. Like, are there specific things that you could point out? If you're in personal finance, could you talk about, oh yeah, I help people with retirement and budgeting and buying their first home? Those are really important things to include in your elevator pitch if that is something that your content or your business is doing to help people. And then finally, number 6 is all about the calls to action. And I didn't actually do this in my example elevator pitch. I was not following my own rules, but here we go. I'm calling it out now. So what I want you to do is, if you are giving your pitch, whether at a dinner party or in an actual elevator, maybe you're at a conference and they're like, hey, stand up, introduce yourself. What do you do? Who are you? Tell us where you're from. Tell us what you're all about. I want you at the end to have a solid call to action. Whether it's, oh, I invite you to check out my podcast, here's the name of it, go to YouTube, here's my channel, or go to my website and check it out, or follow me on Instagram. Having a call to action that you feel comfortable saying on a regular basis can make this feel a lot easier the more you do it. Sure, it's going to feel really weird if you're talking to Aunt Sally and you're telling her about your YouTube channel and say, oh, make sure you like and smash that subscribe button. That feels a little weird. But if you say, yeah, if you have any friends or know anybody that's looking to get into creating a YouTube channel, make sure that, send them my way, or feel free to text me and I'd be happy to talk to them. Maybe you don't want to talk business at a family dinner, but it's something that I encourage you to say these calls to action so you feel more comfortable doing them on a regular basis. So when you actually say them to the right people, they take that action. Okay, now that we talked about the elements for a solid content elevator pitch, I wanted to share with you a quick video from an old video I try to put up on my website. It was there. It was a little bit more edited. This is a raw version. It's not edited, and it's a hot mess, y'all, for many reasons. The video quality is awful. I confuse myself, as you can see, on all the different takes that I have, but I did not follow these elements that I just taught you of an elevator pitch. I didn't call up my audience. I didn't really get specific in what I was doing and who I was talking to and all the things. It's so confusing. So go watch this clip, and I'm going to try not to cringe too much while thinking about you watching it. Have you ever had that feeling that you're not good enough or you have absolutely no idea what you're doing? Yeah, me too. Hi, I'm Crystal, and I write here at crystalprofit.com, where our goal is to share stories that can let you know that it's okay to start new things even when you have no idea where to begin. Some of the topics we share about, some of the things we talk about are family, marriage, parenting, taking care of yourself, writing, and so much more. As women, sometimes we struggle with identity of who we're supposed to be or the right path that we're supposed to take. But my passion is to share this one simple message. None of us have any idea what we're doing anyway, right? No one has all the answers. But we can all start somewhere. And what's great about the Ricky Tribe is our audience loves the fact that we share raw stories of struggle because, guys, sometimes life is just hard. We have to deal with the hard stuff. So I invite you to join in on the conversation either by listening to the podcast. So I invite you to join in on the conversation either by listening to the Ricky Live podcast or checking out what we have to say here at the blog. And I'll leave you with this one final thought. Keep it up, rookies. We all have to start somewhere. Talk to y'all soon. Keep it up, rookies. We all have to start somewhere. I'll talk to y'all soon. So I mentioned earlier in this video that I have some scripts and templates all about creating your own content elevator pitch. This is actually something that I took directly from my digital program, Profit Podcasting. This is my course that teaches you how to start, launch, and market your podcast. And this is what I have in our marketing module. And I just love this lesson so much. It's what I wish I would have known from the beginning, and it is yours to keep. I want you to go download this right now. This is something we talked about in a recent podcast episode. So there's going to be a link in the description and on the screen here. So make sure you go check out, listen to this podcast episode if you want to hear more about creating a solid content elevator pitch. And I cannot wait to hear what you do, what you create, because it's so much fun to see all the amazing things that y'all are doing with your content. But so tell me in the comments below, what questions do you have about creating an elevator pitch? Put them in the comments. I cannot wait to read all of them, which I happily do every single time. It's not a robot. It's not an assistant. It is me reading and replying to your comments. So I cannot wait to hear your questions. But that's all I have for you today. So make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe below, that way you don't miss our future videos all about content creation and running your online business. Make sure you check out these other videos right here that will be super helpful, filled with strategies, demonstrations, and tutorials that I know you need. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere.